Part 151. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 1501. Chapter 1501. The night is as warm as air and ink. Yeshiruo understood what they meant, but she couldn't understand some of them. Mommy, does this mean that my brother and I's concern for Nuanuan has become a burden? Your starting point is right, but the life Nuanuan wants to live is different from yours. It's different. We are a family. Is our concern for Nuanuan wrong? Mommy, do you mean that my brother and I shouldn't do that? Ruruo, Mommy didn't mean that. Yeshiruo pressed her head and rubbed it gently. I'm sorry, Mommy, I may be a little impulsive. Ruruo, I know that you and Feng are relatively good at Nuan, but Nuan's lifestyle is different from yours. Can you understand? Yeshiruo closed her eyes and pondered her emotions for a while, as if the barbed questions just now did not come from her own mouth. Her self-discipline is very strong. Mommy, I have something else to do, so I'll leave first. Yeshiruo retreats from this door. Ye-Wei looked at Yeshiruo's back until she disappeared at the door. Ye-Wei sighed and sat on the stool and shook her head helplessly. She never thought that such a thing would lead to a dispute. No one can deny that their starting point is to be good to Mo Xiongnuan, but Yeshiruo can't figure it out. The words Mo Xiongnuan are envied by many people in Egg College, but Mo Xiongnuan doesn't like them. In this family, Yeshiruo and Yeching have always been the two people who have the best understanding of each other, but this time their attitudes towards things are slightly different. If Yeji is in a bad mood these 2 days, people close to her will be able to notice it. Brother, I know everyone has their own choice, but why is Nuan unwilling to tell us? Mommy said that although the two of us are outstanding talents in the eyes of others, our existence has brought trouble to Nuan. Troubled? Ruruo, are you jealous? Brother, why do you have such an idea? Mommy's feelings for us are the same as her feelings for Nuan. I have never doubted this. I just feel that our sincere efforts have become the eyes of others. Troubled, it makes me wonder if I'm doing something wrong. That's Nuan's choice, let her go. Elder brother. Yeshiruo shouted loudly and frowned, showing his displeasure. Yeching thought for a while, and the person who tied the bell had to be tied to untie the bell. The problem that Yeshiruo was struggling with was Mo Xiongnuan, and only Mo Xiongnuan could solve it himself. Some things won't be understood by everyone unless they are spoken out. Mo Xiongnuan also knew this, but she didn't expect Yeshiruo's reaction to be so big. In Mo Xiongnuan's memory, Yeshiruo has always been a gentle sister. This time Yeshiruo was angry and she panicked. Mo Xiongnuan went to apologize to Yeshiruo, but Yeshiruo asked her why she wanted to apologize. I'm sorry I didn't tell my sister in advance about changing schools. Yeshiruo put his head aside and said, since you want to change schools, just change it. Mommy and Daddy won't refuse your request anyway. At first glance, I thought Yeshiruo was jealous. Yeshiruo asked several questions in succession, but Mo Xiongnuan, who was not very good at speaking, actually wiped his eyes and started to shed tears. Don't cry. Mo Xiongnuan raised his hand and swore, Sister, I really didn't hide it from you on purpose, and I promise I will never do it again in the future. Yeshiruo. This silly girl, the two of them are not communicating on the same line. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 1502. Chapter 1502. Her past name was Li Painter. In any case, Mo Xiongnuan's transfer of schools is already a certainty. When the spring semester started, Mo Xiongnuan transferred to a relatively ordinary school. There was no shuttle service, so she chose to ride a bicycle to school by herself. In this new campus, there is no blessing from her family background. Others just treat her as an ordinary person, the kind that no one would notice if she is thrown into the crowd. This makes Mo Xiongnuan feel extremely comfortable. She started trying to make friends at the new school. Because Mo Xiongnuan's character is non-aggressive and she gives the impression that she is an ordinary girl from a good family, she quickly made friends. Mo Xiongnuan began a life she hoped would be plain but warm. The brothers Ye Qingfeng and Yezhiruo, who are about to face the high school entrance examination, are also continuing to work hard at Egger College. I originally thought that such a peaceful life could last forever. But she never thought that one day, the Li family couple would suddenly appear in front of Mo Xiongnuan, almost breaking her peaceful junior high school life. The Li family and his wife are in town again. This time is different from before. In the past, they hoped to make some money but didn't dare. Now they are desperate and follow Mo Xiongnuan directly. They couldn't enter Yes' gorgeous villa, so they stayed outside. After several days of observation, they finally found the place where Mo Xiongnuan went to school. Mo Xiongnuan's life is divided between home and school, so if you want to get in touch with Mo Xiongnuan, you have to take advantage of the time at school. The Li family and his wife could not enter Yejia, but they could enter this ordinary junior high school campus. The campus is very big, and it would be too difficult to find one classroom after another. Just when the Li family and his wife were having a headache, it was time for recess exercises at school. Students from all classes came to the playground one after another. The person standing in front with a loudspeaker giving orders put the microphone aside after a few words of urging. Mother Li had an idea and took the loudspeaker over and started shouting Li Paner's name. Mo Xiongnuan was stunned when he just walked to the playground. How long had it been since she heard that name? She didn't miss it, but it was full of memories that she couldn't forget. Li Paner, you unfilial daughter, come out. The loudspeaker roared, and it was urgently broadcast to each of the two classrooms through the radio. Many students heard the words. The only thing worth celebrating is probably that no one knows who Li Paner is. When the teachers reacted and stopped them, the Li family began to resist. Mo Xiongnuan originally wanted to hide them, but these people really refused to listen and had to make a big fuss before they dared to stop. Mo Xiongnuan suddenly panicked. The teacher asked on the phone if there was Li Paner in the school and if he knew the Li family and his wife. Mo Xiongnuan lowered his head and hid behind his classmates, which was just hidden because of her thin figure. But after their class formed a team, they stood at the edge, but as soon as those classmates dispersed, Mo Xiongnuan was discovered by the Li family and his wife. They ran towards Mo Xiongnuan. Paner, come over here. Mo Xiongnuan frowned, and his hand movements kept resisting, but he couldn't speak. When the teachers came after him, they asked Mo Xiongnuan to step out of the queue in order not to disturb other students. The three of them were invited into the office together. Mo Xiongnuan didn't know why the Li family and his wife came here, but she knew that it was definitely not a good thing. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1503. Chapter 1503. Han Qi appears. Mo Xiongnuan, do you know these two people? Mo Xiongnuan avoided the eyes of the Li family and his wife when he answered the question, shaking his head and saying he didn't know them. Hey, you kid, why are you turning your back on me? When Li's mother heard this, she almost lost control and beat her. The teacher quickly stopped the Li family and his wife and tried to persuade them to leave. But the Li family and his wife wanted to fight with Mo Xiongnuan, constantly bringing up the past things and trying to get her to admit them. Li Paner, don't think that you can really ignore the people and things in the past when you change your name to Mo Xiongnuan. It's not easy for your father and I to raise you for 14 years. Now that you are rich, you only care about yourself and being free and comfortable. Amo Xiongnuan was speechless. Looking at the scene, the teacher could guess the complicated relationship or ulterior secret between these people without even thinking. The best way at this time is to ask parents. Just when the teacher was about to call the family, Amo Xiongnuan took the opportunity to run out. Because the recess exercise time was not over yet, the old man on duty at the school gate just went into the lounge and drank a cup of tea, and the wear-resistant performance took advantage of it. Amo Xiongnuan ran away. At this moment, the Li family and his wife are trapped in the school, and they are under special supervision. Mr. Li and Mrs. Li, this matter happened because of you. I'm afraid you can't leave until we find classmate Amo Xiongnuan. Amo Xiongnuan didn't know how long she had been running, and she didn't know why she chose to run away at that time, but she couldn't control her behavior and didn't wake up until now. She just wanted to live a quiet life, so why did the two people who gave her nightmares appear again and again? She didn't want her peaceful life to be disturbed, so her heart drove her to choose to escape. Although he was confused after running out, he seemed to be relieved. He touched his pocket and found that there were still dozens of yuan in change. Perhaps it is a temperament developed since childhood, but Amo Xiongnuan has always vividly embodied the concept of thrift is a virtue. However, she now understood that being frugal did not mean being stingy with herself, so she thought about it and found a nearby milk tea shop. "Classmate, what do you need?" The shopkeeper brought the order form over. Amo Xiongnuan took a look at it and ordered a cup of lemon tea. "Classmate, look at your school uniform. Are you from the school next door? Why do you have a day off today?" Peripheral businessmen have always been concerned about whether schools are on holiday, because different times will affect their ability to make money. Amo Xiongnuan shook his head. "No, it's time for exercises between classes." "Then you sneaked out?" "Hush." The shop owner was slightly surprised. "Ah, you really skipped class?" The shop owner looked young, and there was no generation gap when communicating with Amo Xiongnuan. Amo Xiongnuan was holding a cup of lemon tea, and the two of them kept talking about different things. The shop owner was always paying attention to what was going on in the store. Seeing that the water in the water dispenser had reached the lowest level, she shouted inside, "Han Chi, the hot water is almost out, add more water." "Wait a minute." At this time, a young male voice came from inside, and Amo Xiongnuan knew that there was a third person in the store. She originally thought it was the shop owner's boyfriend or something like that, but when the man came out, she realized that the boy was much younger than she thought. "Okay, let's add half of it first. Here, help me pass this glass of juice to the female classmate." End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1504. Chapter 1504. The Rebellious Boy. Han Chi's expression looked a little reluctant, but he followed the shopkeeper's instructions and handed over the juice and placed it in front of Amo Xiongnuan. "Here you go, juice." Amo Xiongnuan looked at him doubtfully. "Ah, I didn't order any juice." "She asked me to give it to you." Han Chi pointed at the shop owner with a helpless expression on his face, without even looking at Amo Xiongnuan. Amo Xiongnuan went to thank the shop owner with a cup of juice, while Han Chi sat aside and played a game with his legs crossed. Amo Xiongnuan sat over again. She didn't know whether the boy just now was impatient with her or if it was just his character. Just out of curiosity, Amo Xiongnuan glanced at Han Chi a few more times. Han Chi's insight was very keen. When Amo Xiongnuan looked at him, he gave him a sideways look, and Amo Xiongnuan avoided his gaze in shame. It's embarrassing to look at other people secretly, but it's so embarrassing to be caught right now. "What are you looking at?" "Yes, I'm sorry." Amo Xiongnuan really wanted to write the kakimotokan on his face to show him how innocent he was. Han Chi snorted and turned his attention to the game again. "That game is not the usual popular game of chicken or king, but a game that tests thinking ability and operation ability. Mo Xiongnuan felt that the page looked familiar when she saw it, because she had seen Ye Qingfeng play it before, and it took Er 3 days to complete the level. At that time, Mo Xiongnuan also accompanied Ye Qingfeng to read the general process. At this time, Han Qi was stuck at a level, and Mo Xiongnuan hesitated to speak. Seeing him fall off the cliff and die 3 times due to wrong choices, Mo Xiongnuan couldn't bear to speak. 2 spaces on the upper left, lower right, and left, go 3 squares and go up. Mo Xiongnuan said, Han Qi actually dared to follow her instructions, and he didn't expect that he would pass the level smoothly. Han Qi was finally willing to raise his head and look at Mo Xiongnuan. You can. Mo Xiongnuan didn't know whether to shake his head or nod. He thought about it carefully before replying, I don't know either, because my brother has finished the game and I have finished watching it. Because she has a very good memory and almost has a photographic memory for that kind of thing, so she will remember the steps to clear the level after seeing Ye Qingfeng play it. If she plays it again, it will be tantamount to cheating. So she didn't know whether she could pass the level on her own. Mo Xiongnuan's answer was really honest. Han Qi turned around and continued playing the game. When he clicked on the game loading page, he couldn't help but glance back at Mo Xiongnuan and saw her biting her straw in a daze. Han Qi couldn't help but frown. He felt vaguely familiar, but he really couldn't remember where he had seen it. Mo Xiongnuan couldn't drink any more of his glass of juice halfway through. He bit his straw in a daze and decided to go back to school after thinking about it. Thank you for the milk tea and juice, I'm going back to school first. Walk slowly, a good girl should study hard, the shop owner encouraged her, while Han Qi still sat there tapping his legs and playing games. Mo Xiongnuan waved to them. At the moment, the only person brought here tonight has already started looking around, and will soon reach this milk tea shop. The only phone call that night she received from the head teacher said that Mo Xiongnuan was frightened when she ran out of school. She was afraid that she would lose her daughter again. At that time, she asked Yezikin to lead people over and started looking for her from the school gate. Don't let it go anywhere. Mo Xiongnuan didn't avoid them on purpose, so when Mo Xiongnuan just stepped out of the door, he saw Ye Weiwei. Mommy. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1505. Chapter 1505. Han Qi is a younger brother. Nuan Nuan. When Mo Xiongnuan saw Ye Weiwei, he was stunned. When Ye Weiwei saw Mo Xiongnuan, he ran over without hesitation and hugged her into his arms. Tears fell instantly. It's okay, my Nuan Nuan is still there, my Nuan Nuan is still there. When Mo Xiongnuan heard Ye Weiwei repeating those 2 sentences with a tearful voice, he felt sour in his heart and felt very uncomfortable. She just wanted to escape from the Li family and his wife temporarily, but she didn't consider that Ye Weiwei would have such a big reaction. Mommy, don't cry, I'm here. Mo Xiongnuan hugged Ye Yuyi to comfort her. Why did you kid run out suddenly? Do you know how worried Mommy was when they said you were missing? I was almost scared to death. You can't do this again. Mommy is really scared. I'm sorry, I promise I'll never do it again, Mommy, don't cry. Mo Xiongnuan also felt sorry for his mother, very much. Ye Weiwei put away her tears and made sure her daughter was standing in front of her alive before she regained consciousness. She then realized that she was standing in front of the store looking so rude. Even the shopkeeper was so surprised that she didn't know what to say. Sorry, I made you laugh, Ye Weiwei apologized. After she wiped away her tears, her feeling and temperament changed instantly. The shopkeeper shook her head repeatedly, no, it's okay. You must be the mother of this little sister. Although I don't know what happened to you, I think she had some reasons for running out of school. You mother and daughter should have a good talk. Ye Weiwei nodded and smiled, although his eye circles were still a little red. "Thank you for your concern, I understand my daughter. She is not the kind of mother who uses beatings and scolding to educate and intimidate her children at critical moments. Maternal love has many different ways of expression, and yes, only love for Mo Xiang Nguyen is cautious and precious." Yui lowered his head and said a few words to Mo Xiang Nguyen, and the mother and daughter left the milk tea shop hand in hand. The shop owner sighed. "Han Chi, you said they just. Hey, where are the people?" The shop owner wanted to chat with Han Chi for a few words, but when she looked up, she found that the boy who was sitting next to him playing games just now was missing. "What's happening here? Obviously I was playing with my phone just a moment ago." "Han Chi. Han Chi. If you don't come out again, I will kick you out." "Oh, are you annoyed?" Han Chi opened the curtain and walked out. His tone was very impatient, but his face was quite calm. The shopkeeper girl stared at him, knowing that Han Chi felt uncomfortable, so she glanced away. Han Chi asked, "Why did you call me out?" The shopkeeper chatted with him while boiling water. "I just asked you to come out and play. You can't hide in the house all the time." But Han Chi proudly said 3 words, "I like it." The shop owner looked at the table with her fingers spread out and reminded him, "It's true that you like it, but this is my home." Han Chi glanced at her and asked, "So?" The shopkeeper smiled slightly, "So you have to listen to me, Han Chi." "Brother. Brother." The last few words were louder. Han Chi twitched the corner of his mouth and dismissed her words very rudely, "The devil is your brother." The shopkeeper was not angry at all after hearing this, she seemed to be used to it. But in fact, they only got along for 2 or 3 days in real life. The thing is like this. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1506. Chapter 1506. Han Chi ran away from home. Han Chi came to S City 3 days ago. When he came, he said 4 words, "Run away from home." He asked her, "I ran away from home, will you take me in?" The shop owner at the time. The shopkeeper's real name is Ye Xiao, which was given by her family's ill-advised father. Ye Xiao is 25 years old this year. She opened a milk tea shop by herself because she didn't want to obey her parents and find a suitable man to marry. Ye Xiao has been waiting for her destined person. But she didn't wait for the right person, but she waited for a little brother who had run away from home. Ye Xiao has a hobby of playing online games, and she met Han Chi while playing games online. Han Chi is famous for his sharp tactics in the game. Han Chi is used to hanging up on a map in the game. Many people asked him to compete, and 9 of them lost miserably. Gradually, he became famous in that server. At that time, Ye Xiao and his bonded nurse were about to recruit teammates to play a game PK competition. By coincidence, they teamed up with Han Chi. The 3 of them had good operating skills, and they had a great time playing that day. Slowly, when they play PK, they will chat with each other secretly first, and then they develop feelings for each other. Of course, it's not just a love, but a tacit understanding of teammates and brothers. They have known each other in the game for 2 years. Ye Xiao never imagined that one day his teammates would run out of the game and come to his milk tea shop. When Han Chi revealed his identity in the game, Ye Xiao was shocked and couldn't even believe it. In the past, Han Chi said that he was underage, and Ye Xiao always teased him as a little brother. But now when they meet, they realize that he is not only a minor, but also a child who is far from being a minor. The 14-year-old boy is more than 10 years younger than her. Ye Xiao wanted to cry when she realized once again that she was an old aunt playing games. Han Chi said that he ran away from home and asked her if he could take her in. Ye Xiao refused at first, but later gave in to the brotherly love of the past 2 years. In addition, Han Chi was just a teenager, so she showed her kindness and gave Han Chi a place to sleep. Ye Xiao is not a good person who likes to suffer losses, so she is not polite at all when she calls Han Chi. When there are many people, she will ask Han Chi to help with chores. But she still hopes that Han Chi can go home. Ye Xiao said, "You were not here just now. Didn't you see that the mother of the female classmate just now came here? She was crying so sadly while holding her in her arms." Han Xingyi, "Yeah. I just saw the mother's reaction and was surprised she ran out of school and frightened her family." Um. What, are you listening carefully to what I'm telling you? Listen. Then give me some reaction. Didn't you agree? Ye Xiao blinked and reiterated the question, "I mean you, don't you think about how anxious and worried your parents will be after you run away from home?" "That's none of your business." Han Chi didn't seem to care at all. "Hey, I have such a bad temper." Ye Xiao rolled up his sleeves as if he wanted to teach someone a lesson. Han Chi wisely dodged away and made her a cup of milk tea to cover her mouth. "Okay, I know what I'm doing." Ye Xiao was helpless. Sometimes she felt that Han Chi was a very thoughtful boy who seemed different from his peers. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1507. Chapter 1507, Escape from Night. Are you really so calm? How can you tell that I'm calm? Han Chi thought about the reason why he hid in the back just now, because he heard yes-only voice. At that time, he was a little surprised and doubtful when he heard the voice, but he still hid just in case. Unexpectedly, the person who appeared at the door of the store was really Ye Weiwei. If he is found here by Ye Weiwei, wouldn't that be tantamount to exposing his whereabouts? So he must not show up. When he heard yes-only name for Mo Xiongnuan, he had already confirmed Mo Xiongnuan's identity. She was the little princess who had been missing for 14 years before being found. She was the treasure that everyone in the Ye family held in their hands. Pimple. At that time, I really wanted to sigh about fate. They all said that Mo Xiongnuan was very well behaved and obedient, but they never imagined that the first time they met would be in such a way. One ran away from home, the other ran away from school, and the two people who were related to the family met by chance. This kind of everything is said by coincidence, just like making up a story. Han Chi didn't know that there was an even more coincidental thing waiting for him to dig out and discover. Ye Weiwei accompanied Mo Xiongnuan back to school. When she appeared in front of the Li family and his wife with such a strong momentum, the Li family and his wife immediately became scared. They were used to bullying Li Pan'er when they taught him a lesson, so they acted arrogantly in front of Mo Xiongnuan. But when someone gave Mo Xiongnuan support, the Li family and his wife couldn't be strong for 3 seconds. Ye Weiwei specifically asked the head teacher to leave this matter to them to resolve alone. When the Li family couple saw that no one else was around, they suddenly panicked. Ye Weiwei asked someone to close the door tightly, leaving the Li family and his wife with no way to escape. "I didn't expect you two to have such courage and go directly to school to harass my daughter." "Mrs. Ye misunderstood, this is all a misunderstanding." Father Li refused to admit it. Li's mother also echoed, yes, we just miss Nuanuan, so we came to see her." At this moment, he was as well behaved as a pug that shook his head obediently. Even his name was deliberately changed. Ye Weiwei closed her eyes and took a deep breath. When she opened her eyes, she still saw the fake looks of the Li family and his wife. She really wanted to slap them until they disappeared. Leaving the two of them alone will always become a time bomb around Mo Xiongnuan. "We made an agreement with you when we brought Nuanuan. You said you would never take the initiative to appear in front of her. So how do you explain your appearance here now? This is an accident." Oh, save this kind of talk for another time to deceive a 3-year-old child. MRS yeah, what do you mean? What do you mean? Yeah I repeated the 4 words, and then said, you should know how much I value Nuan Nuan. I know. But you didn't keep your promise and challenged my bottom line again and again. This is a misunderstanding, please let me go, we will never come again. There are only 3 chances to be trusted at most, and lying to me is unforgivable. Since you know how important Nuanuan is to me, you must realize that in order to let my daughter live a peaceful life from now on, I may do something what is too much for you to bear? What do you want to do? I told you to lock us up, but it is against the law. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 1508. Chapter 1508 She is my mother. What do you want to do? I told you to lock us up, but it is against the law. Since you all dare to touch my bottom line, what else can I not dare to do? Do you want to give it a try and see if I act faster or you escape faster? Humility to the enemy is cruelty to oneself, this sentence is really true. At first, he only gave verbal warnings and took some measures to suppress the Li couple. In addition, because of their 14-year relationship, he also gave them a sum of money to reach an agreement so that they would not appear in front of them again. As a result, only now after a year, the evil intentions started again. The Li family and his wife are such deadbeats that they don't deserve sympathy and mercy at all. Yezikin has arrived and has already confirmed that Mo Xiongnuan is safe. The only thing he said when he saw Ye was, leave it to me. Ye Wei nodded, convinced. Okay, I don't want these 2 people to become Nuan Nuan's time bomb. Okay, I agree. Ye Wei took a deep breath and stepped out to find Mo Xiongnuan. Mo Xiongnuan has returned to the classroom just now. She ran out just now and it happened to be the class teacher's class. Because of her disappearance, the class teacher gave everyone a self-study class. It was said that he wanted them to read a book, but everyone was really curious about Mo Xiongnuan's affairs. By the time Mo Xiongnuan returned to her seat, her desk mates, as well as those at the front and back, all gathered around and asked her the same question, what's wrong with you? Where did you go just now? Mo Xiongnuan just shook her head because she didn't want to mention the 2 people from the Li family. Ye Wei walked to the door of the classroom and knocked on the door. The classmate sitting at the front was surprised to see such a beautiful and elegant woman, and asked hurriedly, who are you looking for? Please let Mo Xiongnuan come out, thank you. The classmate turned around and shouted. Mo Xiongnuan looked up and saw his mother appearing at the door of his classroom. Mo Xiongnuan quickly stood up and walked out amidst the confused and surprised eyes of his classmates. The mother and daughter left the classroom door, and the students in the class were all excited. Wow, who was that woman just now? She's so beautiful. Is she Mo Xiongnuan's sister? It's possible, I'll find out when she comes back and ask. 99 out of 10 people have not guessed that Ye Wei is Mo Xiongnuan's mother, because Ye Wei looks too young. The parents around them are all middle-aged women in their 40s, but the one just now looks so beautiful and young that it's okay to be her sister. Everyone has a love for beauty. Beautiful people always make others look at them more and pay more attention to them. People from the Ye family have always had this kind of charm. When Mo Xiongnuan returned to the classroom, they gathered around her again, just as curious as when they asked her where she was going. Hey Mo Xiongnuan, who was that person just now? Is she your sister? Your sister is so beautiful. That. Mo Xiongnuan was amazed at how charming her mother was. Even her classmates cared so much about her. That's not my sister. Who is that? It's my mother. Huh, the students were all shocked. No way, that person is your mother, she looks so young. Hearing the surprise and praise in the students' words, Mo Xiongnuan was also sincerely happy. Think about it, If the people they met were the Lee couple, I'm afraid these envious looks would turn into pity, sympathy, or disdain. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lou Kixie. Chapter 1509. Chapter 1509. Mo Xiongnuan reported on Han Chi and was arrested. What, he ran away from home again, this kid. Why did you just tell us? Okay, I will send someone to look for you. Ye Wei was answering the phone nearby, and he didn't sound very happy. Mo Xiongnuan had just come out of the room after finishing his homework. He vaguely heard something but didn't know the reason. Yezhiruo, who happened to be sitting in the hall eating melon seeds, had already listened to the whole story. Mo Xiongnuan asked curiously, "What's wrong with mommy? What happened? He is not just Uncle Han's precious son, he has run away from home again." Again? Yeah, that one can be considered a god. Seeing Mo Xiongnuan's confused and cute look, Yezhiruo waved to her and asked her to sit next to her and tell her about Han Chi. Uncle Han is quite far away from us, so you haven't met him yet, but the relationship between our two families is also very good. I heard mommy talk about it. Yes, that's them. Uncle Han has a son who is very precious. We might have seen him once or twice a year before. He was quite funny when he was a child, and he was very obedient when he was with us. Originally, he was a good boy, but he didn't. I thought about how I would drift away when I grew up. I ran away from home once last year, and finally found someone in another city. Some time ago, I ran back to my hometown in S City. This time I was even more courageous. I ran away for 3 days. Did not find. I've been away from home for so long. Yeah, so mommy was very angry when she just found out the news. Why is mommy so angry? If you are anxious because your friend's child has run away from home, this feeling is completely understandable, but angry? Why are you angry? This confused Mo Xiongnuan. Yezhiruo pursed her lips and was silent for a while. The reason is a bit complicated. The fact that Han Chi has not had a mother since he was a child has always been taboo. Although the adults were trying their best to hide it, two bystanders, Ye Qingfeng and Yezhiruo, had already discovered some clues and followed the clues to learn something about what happened back then. However, the adults kept silent about it and even found someone. There was a good reason to hide Han Chi's secret, so the incident back then couldn't be mentioned. Facing Mo Xiongnuan's doubts, Yezhiruo explained it with a careless sentence, "That's it, because mommy and Han Chi's mother and father are both very good friends, but Han Chi's mother has already passed away. Mommy is more concerned about Han Chi, you know?" Mo Xiongnuan nodded. Recalling Mo Xiongnuan's words, she suddenly thought of something. Han Chi. Han Chi. Yes, Han Chi is Uncle Han's son. The name is quite nice, isn't it? No, I saw a boy named Han Chi at the milk tea shop today. It can't be such a coincidence. Yezhiruo couldn't help but sit up straight. 20 minutes later, Ye Wei, the three brothers and sisters of the Ye family and two other bodyguards felt that Han Chi had been successfully captured at the milk tea shop outside the school. Mo Xiongnuan never expected that such a coincidence would happen to him. When the only one holding Han Chi walked past her that night, she felt that Han Chi glanced specifically at her, with some anger in his eyes. Mo Xiongnuan bit his lip subconsciously, lowered his eyes, and his heart beat faster. It feels as if I betrayed my teammates by cheating on myself. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lou Kixie. Chapter 1510. Chapter 1510. Xiaoziun's tragedy that year. But this thing is really an accident. She also suddenly remembered that she met Han Chi, and when all her family members were looking for Han Chi, she felt uneasy about hiding it. Mo Xiang Nguyen grabbed Ye Qingfeng's arm and hid behind him. Ye Qingfeng patted her shoulder. What's wrong with Nuan? Mo Xiang Nguyen shook his head. It's okay. Let's go back. Ye Qingfeng naturally hugged Mo Xiang Nguyen and stood beside Mo Xiang Nguyen in a protective manner. Now Yezhiruo has gone to Han Chi to talk to him as a confidant sister. Han Chi, you've been living a pretty cool life lately. Good. Okay, you big-headed ghost. You have used this trick of running away from home several times. Can you try a new trick? Then next time I will go directly to heaven. Hey, I'm telling you, I haven't seen you for a year. Are you really drifting off? Sister Ruo, I haven't seen you for a year. Why are you more verbose than Aunt Jiao? If Yezhiruo said something to Han Chi, he would say something back. If Ye Qingfeng was in the same car with them and heard this, he would definitely beat up Han Chi. This time, Han Chi's mouth was tightly sealed. No matter whether Yezhiruo used gentleness or coercion, she could not get any valuable information out of him. They don't even know why Han Chi ran away from home this time. Yezhiruo usually teaches her children well, but she rarely scolds her. Even when she is angry, she is always reluctant to use scolding words to educate her children, especially in special situations. For example, Mo Xiang Nguyen was found after missing for many years, and Han Chi, who lost his mother since childhood. They all knew about the tragedy that happened in Xiaoziun, so every time she saw Han Chi, she felt very complicated. Chi, I don't want to accuse you, but running out like this will make us worried. Aunt Jiao, I'm sorry. Han Chi was quite obedient in front of Ye Weiwei and did not get angry with her. Ye Weiwei saw that this child looked a bit like Xiaoziun, and couldn't help but sigh again. Can you tell me why you ran away from home? Han Chi remained silent when it came to this matter. Ye Weiwei didn't want to blame him, but that didn't mean that he would let him push himself into a blind corner. Since you've come to S City, just spend 2 days here to relax, okay? Feeling that Han Chi was still cooperative, Ye Weiwei patted his shoulder happily and said, I'll clean up your room first. Can you go down to Feng and the others to play for a while? Go. After Han Chi and Ye Wei separated, they did walk to the hall. The 3 brothers and sisters of the Ye family sat there waiting for him on purpose, but when Han Chi came down, they didn't know what to say. Mo Xiang Nguyen hesitated for a long time, and the fingers of his hands were fighting with each other. Finally, she stood up. Everyone was attracted by her movements. Mo Xiang Nguyen took 2 steps and stood directly in front of Han Chi. He bowed his head and apologized to him sincerely, I'm sorry. Han Chi had looked up at her just now, but now he lowered his head after hearing her apology and looked at Erlang sitting there with his legs up, looking so unconcerned. Ye Qingfeng had already frowned. Mo Xiang Nguyen realized that Han Chi was angry with her because of being found, and now she felt even worse. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Yo, if you didn't do it on purpose, what's the point of doing it on purpose? End of this chapter.